What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Punk Rock Radar. And today we are talking about yet another 10 punk rock debuts. We are going to be ranking them tier list style. There's kind of a theme to this, kind of not. Just kind of bands that I feel like have a similar vibe. So around kind of the same time of like the late 90s, early 2000s. So the bands we'll be talking about today are going to be the Flatliners, Against Me, Hot Water Music, Much the Same, Rise Against, Authority Zero, Wilhelm Scream / Smacking Isaiah, Strike Anywhere, Belvedere, and the Lawrence Arms. Maybe I already said the Lawrence Arms.
Yeah,
but
that was 11, but
yep, it's all good. So we're doing Lawrence Arms twice, and I'm joined today by owner of the channel himself, Mr. Punk Rock Radar, John. We've also got DyingScene.com's very own Screeching Bottle Rocket, aka Chubby Smug Douchebag. I think I missed one. I think I missed an adjective in the grumpy. So he's also grumpy, not just chubby. We got Dylan, and also we've got Hudson Valley hardcore legend Lewis in the building. How are you guys today? How was it preparing for this? And are you ready to get into ranking these melodic hardcore, maybe orgcore, maybe just 2000s punk? So
music albums.
So
I thought this was a pretty fun list, so I'm excited to do this one. And I apologize, my cat is attacking my computer, but I will try to stay stable here. So I'm excited, though.
all right, so a typical Lewis situation,
Yep.
cat attacking the computer. So, but anything else for me, Dylan, or you, John? Or are you just ready to get
Nope.
into this and start ranking them?
let's go. Let's do it.
All right, who's our first band, John?
It's going to be the Flatliners in their 2005 debut, Destroy to Create.
Okay, Lewis, go ahead. Start us off here with the Flatliners, Destroy to Create. Where are you ranking this bad boy?
Look at me, I'm in the first spot today. It's
You're
new.
the first spot. It's new.
So fun. I'm getting cycled in. It's a Christmas miracle. I'm just going to cut to the chase. This is going to be my first S tier record out of this list. This is a fantastic debut. I remember when John first gave me this CD, he's like, you got to hear this shit. And it was like, shortly after, not shortly after, but, he knew I was into like Choking Victim and other, Suicide Machines and other hardcore ska stuff. And he was like, this band is right up your alley. And it certainly didn't disappoint. And I'm not one of the people who like really holds it against the Flatliners that they kind of lost this sound. They've kind of evolved their sound into much different ways, but it's always really nice to be able to go back to this record and kind of like almost experience it for the first time again after you've been listening to newer Flatliners. But I mean, Fred's Got Slacks will forever be one of their top 5 songs. So yeah, I mean, the only complaint I would have about this record is like a lot of aggressive ska records. It sounds all the same, but it's a good time all throughout, so I'm not going to complain. So S tier, no question in this list. So
all right, first S tier on the board. Dylan, where are you putting the Flatliners?
It's also going to be in the S. And bold prediction, I think this sweeps the S tier.
I feel like it probably does.
Speak for yourselves. But yes, Lewis already said everything I would want to say. Except he missed on something he should have said. It sounds much the same.
I know, but I'm saving that joke for the Much the Same record, Dylan. Jeez Louise.
It kind of works for Much the Same.
You can use it twice.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is also going in my S tier. So I'm one of the biggest Flatliners, one of my favorite bands of all time. Big Flatliners mark. I think I just said like one of the tightest, most aggressive hardcore ska punk records ever made. Chris Criswell comes in hard with these like fast, raspy, like how he sings on this thing is crazy. Like he's just going rapid, like I don't know. It's like that ska rapping, that ska core rapping, like on crack. Like it's so smooth. So I mean, like every fucking chord feels like a punch in the face on this record. And I don't know. I put Destroy to Create up there with like Destruction by Definition and No Gods, No Managers. It's like an all-time great ska punk record. So. Like it's S tier all the way for me. Fred's Got Slack, There's a Problem, Scum Punch, I Am Abandoned, so many good songs. There's also like a song they cut off of this that's really good. That's on the B-side collection. I forget what that's called. It's like super solid though. Oh, Open Hearts and Bloody Grins. That song fucking rips. But John, where are you putting Flatliners Destroy to Create?
Yeah, Dylan's prediction's coming true because this is definitely an S tier. I had randomly discovered this, and Lewis knows I used to be a big emusic.com person in like 05, 06. And they used to let you like click on a label and then see everything that label had. I wish Spotify had something like that. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I would just go through and like, Nitro was on there, Stomp was on there. So every time like Stomp released something new, I'd get an alert. And this came out and I was like, holy shit. Like I had never heard of this band, obviously. And it blew me away. Like Elliot, all the songs you mentioned are my favorites. Fred's Got Slacks and There's a Problem being my main two. But this is, let me just check. Yeah, this is the best album on the whole list. So yeah, S tier all around.
I agree. I think I agree. So yeah. All right. So everyone sweep the S tier with the Flatliners. So I guess we'll move on to the next one here. And Dylan, you can go ahead and start us off with what is this going to be? The Lawrence Arms, I think.
Yeah, Lawrence Arms.
The Lawrence Arms.
Guided Tour of Chicago.
Oh, I like how you have the date down there. That's nice.
Yeah.
1999.
Had an
That's a good
extra
job,
week
man.
to prepare.
There you go. added a
label.
date in the label. Dylan, we're talking about the Lawrence Arms, a guided tour of Chicago, or as some people like to call it, Time to Eat. So, what do you have to say
Calls
about
it
this
that.
Lawrence Arms? Some people do, because some people see the album cover and they thought it was Time to Eat because it says it on a sign on the album cover.
Oh, okay. I'm not that. Anyway,
Not that deep into the Lawrence Arms lore, but it's all good. Where would you rank it?
yeah. If there was a 3S spots, this would probably be what would get my third spot, but there's not, so we'll play the game. I'll put it in A. I do think it suffers from I guess the rough production's like part of the charm and all that, but the later albums sound a lot better than this. So, but the songs are good. So A.
All right, Lewis, what would you do with Lawrence Arms here?
So I kind of feel the same way that Dylan does, but I'm surprised he gave it such high tier because, like, I
It's
think
pretty high.
I think like they're a at least tier songs because I like the songs, but the production quality is so bad that I have a hard time listening to this record in general. And I love the Lawrence Arms, and I know there's like Lawrence Arms purists out there. They're like, oh, this shit is the best stuff they ever did. They're wrong. So just for the record, I mean, like the later Lawrence Arms stuff is way better than this. So, in the scope of these other records and like what I would prefer to listen to, I'm going to give this one like a C. Like, I think there's much better debuts on here that sound better. And, the songs are, as good or better in some instances. So yeah, I love the Lawrence Arms, but not the best record on this list.
I want to
All
say,
right.
if you are one of those purists, check out Like Bats. All their recordings are shitty just like this, and they sound just like early Lawrence Arms.
There you go. If you like a non-existent production, check out Like Bats. John, what do you think of A Guided Tour of Chicago?
I'm right there with Lewis. I'm going C tier. I actually like this more than I thought I would. I thought that the songs themselves were actually pretty good. I would love to hear this. I know the purists are going to hate it again, but like remastered a little bit. It definitely needs a little help in the audio department. But overall, the songs are really good. And I probably would have put this in B, but I moved it. Yes, I moved it on, I forget what day this is. Saturday? I moved it on Thursday. So I'm going to go C, right with Lewis.
All right. I am going to go right there with you and Lewis. I'm also putting this in the C tier. It almost was in my D tier just because of how completely unmixed this thing is. I mean, there's like raw production, and then there's just completely unmixed production. This is almost like a live performance. It's a pretty rough listen. It's some Chicago teens doing their best Lifetime and Jawbreaker impersonation, but it's still, I mean, like Lawrence Arms is definitely there. Like the sound is there, so I wanted to like it more. But I mean, it's just Lawrence Arms is just not the band yet that does Apathy and Exhaustion. And these songs are still good. There's a lot of great lyrics. You have the Kevin Costner's Casino song, which I had no clue that Kevin Costner, it's like a song about Kevin Costner exploiting Native American land, which apparently he did. I had to look it up after I listened to it, so I had no idea. In the North Side and the L&L and any number of crappy apartments is like also an awesome song. So
Yeah.
it's C tier. It's like the songs are there, the production. I mean, I like raw production, but this is like it's
Yeah, man.
just unmixed.
No, man, you have to like try to make a record sound this bad. Like, because you could find any fucking asshole in any city who has a studio who wants to make it big, who would make your record sound better than this. So to me,
Yeah.
I mean, I love the songs, but it just seems lazy and like going for an aesthetic and like a tone over like, you know, making enjoyable punk. Sorry. Like, I love the Lawrence Arms. They're by far my favorite band. This is by far my favorite band on this list, you know, on this tier list. But yeah,
Yeah.
it
I
always
wanted to
seemed like
like
a
it
really
more.
it's a lazy fucking record that, you
It's
know.
just they're not apathy yet. I still think this is slightly better than Ghost Stories or whatever the next one is, but
Right, everybody in the comments, call these guys douchebags.
Yeah,
Please.
I mean, fuck y'all. I guess I'm a douchebag, but you're wrong. Like, I mean, this is a lazy record, and yeah, that's it. So
it's okay. I know where Dylan's gonna drop one of these bands in the D tier. So let's move on to the next debut here, John.
All right, we got we're staying in Chicago with Rise Against the Unraveling.
Okay, I'll go first here. And what do I got in my notes for Rise Against the Unraveling? I said, even amongst the most staunch Rise Against haters, I feel it's a universally accepted fact that the Unraveling kind of fucking rips. Joe Princepi with those Princepe, is that how you say his name?
Sure.
I don't want to say his name wrong, sure. With those like bubbling, chugging bass lines, it's like all these like fax octaves and like Tim's screams. And like, I think a lot of people don't like Rise Against because I think Tim in like Another Reality could probably be like the lead singer of like a post-grunge band. Like he does have like that radio rock voice, but it's not Tim's fault. He's just a great singer. So, and he brings like such a crazy energy to this record. I mean, you got the opening track, Alive and Well, is a banger. 6 Ways Till Sunday, Remains of Summer Memories. I mean, it's so good. It's tight. It's fast. It's a punch in the face. It's in the vein of kind of like the Flatliners record as well, but it's not as good. I'm gonna put it in the A tier. I think it's an awesome debut. So, and we'll go John. Where would you put Rise Against?
I think I got a surprise because Elliot, I'm right there with you in the A tier. I was like,
Nice.
I was feeling this record. I used to think it was like miles below RPM and Siren Song, but it's below, but it's not that bad. I mean, 401 Kill is a song I remember most from this. I feel like that was on a comp somewhere. The title track's really good. I like this album quite a bit, so I'm gonna go right there with you, Elliot, and put it in the A tier.
Okay, hell yeah. I mean, I think it rips, dude.
Yeah.
So it's some top tier musicianship. Lewis, where would you put this Rise Against record?
yeah, I'm with you guys in A. I've often
Nice.
kind of like looked at this record as like like John just said, like way below RPM, but it's not really. It's a really good record in a different way. I mean, RPM's obviously a lot more polished, but 6 Ways Till Sunday might be one of the best songs on this entire tier. Like, this album has a lot of really good songs, and you know, I mean, compared to like stuff like, I mean, he was in the Killing Tree and stuff, I think, as well, and this is way better than stuff they were doing in that. Like, that album's that's okay, but man, this album's really good. And it's kind of sad because like I started a mix on my Christmas driving, and this was starting it like this, and it started going into new Rise Against, and even my girlfriend was like, "Oh, turn this shit off! Like, this is boring." So that's pretty funny. It was pretty good. She was like, "I can't take any more of this band." So it was that was it. So, but yeah, this is an A tier for me here.
They definitely became the thing that people accused them of when they weren't. Like, everyone was like, they're like this radio rock band. And I'm like, no, they're still like a really hardcore punk band, honestly. They have these songs. Eventually, they just became that, like they did. So
Yeah.
they fulfilled the prophecy of being a generic post-grunge sounding band. But Dylan, where would you rank Rise Against the Unraveling?
I don't know what post grunge is. I would say they're like Nickelback if they
Yeah.
had
That's,
some vague political motivation behind their lyrics.
that's basically what it means, yeah. So,
Anyway, yeah, I'll put it in the C tier. I'm just not a fan. I'm sorry. I said it before. This was the only record I bought and resold like immediately. I was just so bored with it. So, not a Rise Against appreciator.
Damn. All right. Well, what is the next debut we got here, man?
All right, up next. Essentially the same album but slightly worse. Strike Anywhere changes the sound.
Dude, I literally have that written down. I literally have written down. What did I say? A Rise Against on a budget.
Yeah.
But go ahead, John. Talk about Strike Anywhere. Changes the sound.
Yeah, I mean, I said that opening thing. I just like these two albums kind of bleed together so much. All the sound, the vocals, the guitars, the drums. It's like almost the same record, but it's like a notch below it. And I don't know. I'm like very indifferent to Strike Anywhere as a whole, but like I think it's still like an okay album. So I'm gonna go right below Rise Against in the B tier.
Right in the B tier. Man, I got no idea what to do with this record, honestly. This is. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you're not sure, I'll go. I mean, so I think I'm gonna echo John a little bit, but I'm gonna be a little harder on it, right? So like, Strike Anywhere is a band that like I don't think I've ever met anyone who Strike Anywhere was their favorite band in person, and I'm sure they exist. I don't really get it because Strike Anywhere is the band. For me, that was always like, oh, we have Rise Against at home, and it's Strike Anywhere or whatever. Insert any band in that. Like, it's pretty unobjectional. Like, it's fine, but it's nothing spectacular. And I think that's echoed in, their legacy here. Like, who cares that Strike Anywhere ever existed? But having said all that, sorry, the album's okay, and I'm going to give it a C. It's by far not one of the worst records on here. But when do I get a chance to kind of, echo my hard feelings against Strike Anywhere's, my indifference for Strike Anywhere? So here we go, C tier.
You guys are so mean.
Where would you put
Strike
it?
Anywhere is a better band. They committed way more to their politics than Rise Against ever did, and this is a better album. So it's going in the B tier.
Says the Dylan who hates communists.
I know. He's like, well, I like them more because they stick by their guns and they really stand by their beliefs.
I don't think this is their best album though. I like the one on Fat, the Dead. What's it called? Dead FM.
Oh yeah.
FM,
and
I like this better than
Iron. I think
Front's
Iron
really
Front
good,
might be their best.
I think it's their best as well. But I'll go here, and I'm going to have to do this. And it kind of pains me to do it, but I'm looking at my tier list right here. I'm going to have to do my first mulligan, and I am going to actually drop A Guided Tour down to D. And I think I'm going to put Strike Anywhere in the C category. Because there is like one other of these really rough records that I like a little bit. But what I said about Strike Anywhere is Rise Against on a budget. Strike Anywhere is a band I perpetually feel like I'm sleeping on, and then I listen to them, and I'm like, yeah, that was okay, I guess, and then I go back to sleeping on them. So, that's how I feel. Like, I think Change as a Sound is like probably like their one of their stronger records, but it definitely has like all the energy there. Like, it has this like swinging energy that the Rise Against album does, but something just never clicked with me for Strike Anywhere. I don't know what it was, but every time I listen to them, it's like, this is fine, this is good, but it just doesn't have that like next level something to put it on the level of like Rise Against the Unraveling or other bands of the era. So I'm going C. I think it's a good record. I think it's like a little bit more competently put together than the Chicago, A Guided Tour of Chicago. Though I think the songwriting on A Guided Tour of Chicago is better than Strike Anywhere.
It's like way better.
Yeah, it's like way better. It's way better, but yeah.
I feel like I'm being real hard on Strike Anywhere here, but like, I mean, who gives a shit? No one cares. They're nothing special. Sorry.
All
so
right. The Strike Anywhere fans are going to be coming out of the woodwork.
I don't give a shit. They don't exist. I'm scared. I'm scared of unicorns and Sasquatch too. It's bullshit.
Hey, Sasquatch is real. All right.
He might be okay. I believe in that more than Shrink
also-
Anywhere
yeah.
super fans. So
He's a time traveler, and he travels dimensions as well. But let's move on to the next debut here.
All right, we've got
Kind of just collectively. No, go ahead.
it's a Wilhelm Scream, like you said, slash smacking Isaiah. The way to a girl's heart is through her boyfriend's stomach. Is
you got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like it'd be a Fallout Boy song.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess Lewis, go ahead and start us off here with I have no clue what your opinion on Wilhelm Scream or Smacking Isaiah is, so go for it. Man.
Never heard this one. I'll be honest, but I know Wilhelm Scream. I love Mute Print. I think it's a good record. They're not a band that I would consider we have a Wilhelm Scream at home or whatever. They're fine. So I actually think this is a really strong debut record. I don't know what to categorize it as, but in the scope of all these, I'm going to put this one in B tier. I think it was extremely solid. I think if this Mute Print was in here, that would definitely be taking either a high A or an S, but this is a really great song. It's kind of a shame that it's down on Spotify and you have to like YouTube stream it. It's really stupid.
I know,
like, who cares?
It sucks. I know.
Yeah, but this record rules. I mean, it's good.
Dylan, Smacking Isaiah. What do you have to say?
Smacking Isaiah is gonna fill out my A tier. I do think it's a very good album, and it reminds me more of like Bigwig in like Near Miss than okay. I can't see it, but I was
I wrote Bigwig. Yeah, I wrote Bigwig.
Yeah, it sounds like Bigwig. It doesn't have like a lot of the more like technical aspects of what became a Wilhelm Scream, which is lacking a bit, but it's still a competent album. I feel like they should have given some more consideration to the album title, however.
I love the album title. I think it's funny. But John, now that Dylan compared it to Bigwig, can you drop it into D tier for me? Just kidding.
Do you hate Bigwig? What did Bigwig do to you?
I don't hate Bigwig. No, I'm just joking.
What did I say for Wilhelm Scream Smacking Isaiah? I say I've never heard like the Smacking Isaiah era of Wilhelm Scream. I say it's like a mix of that kind of typical fast, scratchy 90s skate punk, but also with definitely like a bigwig sound and kind of like a Lifetime bit in the vocals sometimes. Like I really get like that melodic hardcore sound out of this. And I honestly like enjoyed this like a good bit. Even with the complete car crash that is the production, like it somehow kind of works in its favor. It's like where Lawrence Arms, like I guess like just didn't care and it didn't work. Smacking Isaiah didn't care and somehow it did work. Like that bass and drum, it's like all you hear sometimes depending on your headphones. But it sounds like it goes fucking hard. Like it sounds like
Yeah, but this record, like, the Lawrence Arms one, it sounds like you're listening through it through like your neighbor's apartment wall. You know what I mean? Like,
I know
this record doesn't quite sound like.
Lawrence Arms one's very muddy. This one's very like it's not mixed. Like the instruments aren't mixed well. Like the bass and the drum overpower the guitar so much, but like it kind of works in its favor where it's like this really just like aggressive, almost like drum and bass, and he's like screaming on the. Also, the vocals are really good. Like there's obviously a lot of passion and energy within the vocals, and so I'm putting this in my B tier as well. I was like totally surprised. Like I thought this was going to be like a guaranteed D tier for some reason. It was just going to be like a raw generic skate punk record. It's not that at all.
I feel like if they hadn't changed their sound so much, or at least at least concept and like whatever, but like if they had stayed like really like become developed as a skate punk band, this would be considered like a classic, I feel like. But it's not talked about too much. There's definitely people in the Discord who are big skate punk fans that talk about the Smacking Isaiah record, but it's definitely not talked up there as much as other ones are. But John, where would you
Rare at skate punk?
Rare at scare. This is definitely a bit of rare at skate punk.
Yeah.
So John.
Dylan and I are gonna sync back up because this is also in my A tier. I thought it was gonna be an original like in this one, because the problem is we had Mute Print as our placeholder on the playlist, so like you can't help but be slightly disappointed when like Mute Print comes on and then you remember that it's this one. but it's really freaking good. Like I played around with even S. Like I thought about it for a little bit. I think this record kicks ass. I haven't heard it in like 20 years, so it was cool to kind of revisit. And I don't mind the production on this type of record. And Dylan said exactly what I was gonna say. It sounds like Bigwig, like Stay Asleep. Straight up, like that's the sound here. So if you like Bigwig, check it out. A couple Northeast bands. It's going to my A tier.
Oh yeah. Also, their song "Beer and Loafing" in New Bedford on this album is so good. Also, like awesome song name, "Beer and Loafing" in New Bedford. But yeah, let's move on to the next debut here. So,
all right, next record is gonna be Against Me, reinventing Axl Rose.
Okay. I
think Dylan should go first because we should. I got a feeling he's going to be the most negative, so I'd really like to let him rip.
I'll let Dylan go first, and then I'll go next, and I might be the most positive. I don't know. I know.
Oh no, I'm. Yeah. Don't. We're going to be on.
Me and Dylan are going to see eye to eye. I guarantee it.
This is probably the most divisive record on the list between the two of us, or the four of us. Sorry, but Dylan, go ahead. Talk about Against Me, reinventing Axl Rose.
So the deck was kind of stacked against this album because the first time I heard it was on a picture disc, which is like the worst possible format you could listen to something on, and it sounded awful. But I've since listened to it on through other means, and it still does not sound good. In addition to that, this is like. In like the 2010s especially, there was a lot of like lore around this album, and it's like one of the greatest albums of all time and whatever among like the punk news circles, and I'm just not a fan. It's not a very good album, so this is my first D tier.
Oh, he didn't really shit on it.
I can already see the comments.
It's all good.
So, I got you, man.
Yeah, don't worry. John's got your back. Lewis, go ahead. Sing a few praises here of reinventing Axl Rose.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a tendency to be like, hyperbolic about how amazing this record is, but I would be like remiss to not say that this is a really important record to me, and I think that it is a really like strong masterpiece of the early 2000s. Like I when I first heard this record, I don't think I had thought I had heard as earnest, I guess, for lack of a better word, of a record before. Like it felt really raw and like really like honest and good, and like the production quality that we've been shitting on. Like, yeah, sure, this one's a little rough, but it was kind of fitting the tone of the band. And I was really into the acoustic stuff and the EPs that they put out as well. I love this record. I mean, Pints of Guinness is, obviously still a great one, but like Walking is Still Honest, I think is my favorite track on here. I love that song. Baby, I'm an Anarchist. Like, I don't really know what else to say. I know I don't, I don't bear any like, false sense that this is the greatest record of all time. But I think in the scope of these records, and I think the impact that it had, and obviously their trajectory, they got super big after this with their jumps. It's a great record. So it is going to be my other S tier. So I'm putting Reinventing Axl Rose as my S tier record.
All right, John, I'm guessing the D tier.
Yeah, and I just want to like preface this. This is all personal preference. I'm doing my list. Like, what are the odds I'm going to listen to this again? Or like, that's essentially how I rank these. I can't get through a single song on this record. I just like, this would be like my F tier. I just, it doesn't vibe for me at all. I don't like the style. I just don't like this album at all. There's not a single song I would come back to. And yeah, it's just, I don't want to shit on it either, because I know people love this, but it's just not for me. It's just not a style that I listen to. Like, I don't listen to anything acoustic or folky or like whatever you want to call this. What is that thing you did, Elliot?
Busking music.
Busking is subway rock. Yeah, it's just not for me. So
I think John called it like drunken homeless sea shanties, the album. So.
Yeah, it's not my style. That's all. It's a fine record. It's very passionate, but it's not for me.
No, it's totally fine. I mean, I knew you guys were going to going the D tier. It's not your thing at all, and it's definitely like a hard album to buy into. I'm probably I got this is probably the most I wrote about something, so I'll try to go through it real fast. And like I love this record, so I have it. It's like I should have had it out, but what did I say? I said Reinvent the Waxing Rose is like one of those lightning in a bottle records. It has such a distinct sound. Like I haven't seen it like replicated really. There's like a few bands like if you like this style, Defiance Ohio, Share What You Got is kind of similar, but I mean that smacking snare, like I can understand people not liking that, but I think it adds so much to it. That snare is so fucking loud and distinct. The distorted strums, indecipherable screams, and a chorus of woes. It's like purposeful anarchy. And maybe it's theater kid punk, maybe it's homeless sea shanties, but it's a very genuine record. Like Laura isn't just singing about like vague political stuff or trendy activism. It feels like genuinely tapped into something. And like I always get sucked into this record. Like it feels like Pints of Guinness, like when it's like, and just like James, I'll be drinking Irish tonight. And I don't know, dude. Like that gets me like hyped up. Like this is such a chaotic, fun album. And we laugh at danger. Baby, I'm an anarchist. So I'll sing the praises of it. And I'm putting it in the S tier. Oh, it's already there. You already knew.
I know.
I think in another life you were a late '90s rock critic with the all the interjections that you throw in.
What's the interjections?
Punch in the face, slapping, snare.
I liked it. I like descriptors like that. I wanted to be a writer at some point, so I'm flexing my muscles here. But thank you. But yeah, I guess that's everybody. So 2 S's, 2 D's. So I mean, John, I think probably predicted this.
Mhm.
That him and Dylan are going to be lockstep with against me. But let's move on. I don't think any other record's really that divisive, but we'll see.
There's one more.
There's one more. Okay.
Up next, we got Authority Zero, A Passage in Time.
Okay, Authority Zero, Passage in Time. I guess I'll start us off with this one. This is another one I had no idea what to do with. Like, I feel like I have no clue what to do with Authority Zero. I like love songs on this record, but I think as a record as a whole, for some reason, I cannot get into it. It doesn't click with me sometimes. Also, I think dropping that 6 minute plus one more minute, like the 4th song after 3 bangers, like those first 3 tracks are like really good. Like what is that? Passage in Time, Lying Awake, Every Day, and then it's like a reggae jam sesh for almost 7 minutes. It's kind of like crazy. It's a bit messy. I mean, I forgot his name, Jason's vocals. Like his vocal style is so good. He does like that weird rhythmic reggae thing, and then he's like, and go right into the punk voice. Like I feel bad doing it because I really like Authority Zero, but this is definitely like one of their weaker records. There's so many good songs on it, but I think as a record, it's just too sloppy and messy for me. And also this being like a major label versus like Smacking Isaiah's like just raw independent release. I think it's a bit disappointing for all the backing and the production they had on this thing. So I'm gonna go C tier, but I think it's a good record. I like it much more than Strike Anywhere. So, but John, what do you have to say?
Yeah, you mentioned it. Like, this is the lone major label album on here, so it's got that working for it. It's got amazing production, but like, just like you were saying, the producers should have stepped in at several points because there's a lot of long songs, and it's every time I like a song, it goes on another 2 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I'm done with it. But I am more a fan of what Authority Zero did in like kind of the middle of their career, where they kind of lean more into the punk sound. Like Broadcast to the Nations is a great record. I like all the new stuff that they're doing. I think it's going to be it's going to be a high album when we do Ali Ali Oxenfree. Overall, man, this is another band like the Flatliners. Lewis and I have been into them since this. We saw them open, I think, for Pennywise when this was coming out in 2002. But I think I'm Elliot. I'm like teetering on. I think I'm gonna go B. I think I like it better than my C tier albums. It just needed some work with the trimming. I don't know where it went. There it is. But yeah, let's go B tier.
All right, Lewis. Authority Zero, Passage in Time.
Yeah, I really loved this record when I first got it. And I think it was probably because I was a really big Sublime fan, and I really feel like they were kind of going for that that kind of market at that point. It feels like, and I mean, obviously they're a little bit different, but you know, they got the fast songs, they got their reggae dubs, and then they got the more straightforward punk rock and roll stuff. I think it's a strong record. I agree with all the assessments, though. Some of these songs are way too long. But you know, then it has really bright spots. Like Over Seasons is a really awesome song. Super Bitch is really good. Passage in Time is good as well. So I mean, there's a lot of good songs on here. I love the production quality, like you said. So I'm gonna put it in B. I think I'm a little bit more enthusiastic than John with my pick. But it's a really good record still. I think, even though I like some of the later stuff better. So.
All right, and Dylan.
Not a big Authority Zero guy. It's known that I'm not a huge fan of the white boy reggae subgenre. And I would put Authority Zero squarely in the middle of that. I do like the newer stuff, the Ollie Ollie Oxenfree, and then what I've heard from what's the new EP called 30 Years Speaking to the Youth or something. That's also crazy. They've been around 30 years. I didn't realize that.
I don't like the title. Ugh.
Yeah.
30 Years Speaking to the Youth. That's that's very suggestive.
The album, 30-year-old speaking to a teenager.
Hanging out outside the local high school or something.
Why don't you have a seat?
Local church,
Going to the all ages club at the boardwalk.
I don't hate it. I'll put it in the C tier.
All right. And there we go. Authority Zero, A Passage in Time. Done. Next debut. Next.
Right. We're almost done. We're rolling through this. We got 3 left. Up next is Belvedere, Because No One Stopped Us.
Someone should have stopped them. No, I'm just kidding. John, go ahead and talk about Belvedere, Because No One Stopped Us.
I feel like this has potential to be like, me and Dylan are going to be different. I can tell you right now that this has like worst to first potential, knowing where Belvedere went. But I find this pretty tough to listen to. This, I mean, it's not the level of Lawrence Arms, but it's kind of close production wise. I feel like where Belvedere really thrives is like the technical guitars mixed with the melodies. And I feel like some of that is here, but it's very, very unrefined. Like some of the backing vocals that come in just take me completely out of the songs. With that said, there's some like really good groundwork for a great band that they became. And it's fun to see, where they started, but I don't think this is a good record at all. So I think I'm going to go in the C tier next to the Lawrence Arms. I feel very similar about these two records. Great foundation, good songs, but the execution's a little bit lacking. So let's put it in C.
All right. Yeah, this is going to go in my D tier. This Belvedere record, it's definitely like one of the hardest production here. And there's like a difference. Like they're both kind of like this raw skate punk sound, like Smacking Isaiah and Belvedere. It's like the Smacking Isaiah one just sounds so much more like refined and cleaner and confident. And this one really just sounds like your typical, just, forgettable 90s like skate punk band. I mean, the instrumentation is there, like, like they're obviously talented musicians for being the teenagers they were when they wrote this record, but the vocals are so bad, dude. Like the vocals are really bad. It's unlistenable to a degree of how just bad and dry and flat they sound. And like the Smacking Isaiah one, the energy is like there. This one, it's just like very sloppy. So it's the D tier. I think it's the worst record on the list. And this is definitely going to be the biggest difference in quality from debut to newest one, because the newest Belvedere became an incredible band. So no smack on Belvedere. Their debut is not my thing though. But Dylan, what do you have to say about Belvedere?
I'm probably gonna I am gonna have it the highest of anybody. I'll have it in the B tier. I will admit the production is terrible. But it is what it is. I think the songs are good enough. The bottom line, you got what other fucking band has Stone Cold Steve Austin fucking intro music? You got Good Riddance always has like political shit, and then you got Belvedere has Stone Cold. That's pretty badass, huh?
I'm a big WWE
But
guy, so
but yeah, also Subversive's another really good song. But yeah, the production is awful. There's no doubt about it. And like John said, like Belvedere strives on like being like really tight and technically proficient. And at this point, there's some signs of it, but the production holds it back. So if they had a few more takes on the recordings, maybe it would have come out a little better. But like it is what it is. It's a relic of its time.
it's an at rare skate punk record if there ever was one.
Yeah. Oh,
But,
yeah.
oh yeah. But Lewis, what do you have to say about Belvedere here?
Well, I think if Saint Steve Austin had actually heard this record, he would say that Austin 316 says this album sucks shit. So I'll be honest, I'm a casual Belvedere fan. Like, I don't think I've ever listened to a full album all the way through. Like, I've heard songs and I think they're good, and maybe that'll change when I listen to the newest one. They just never really got into them. And it's probably good that we're doing this because but this was not what I was expecting. Like, because the songs I heard and then I listened to this, I was like expecting it to be a lot different. And yeah, I hated this. Really boring. Nothing special about it. If this was like the only album they ever put out, no one would ever care. So it's a good thing that they kept going because the rest of the stuff that I heard is really good, and I'm excited to listen to the newer album because you guys always talk them up.
Yeah, the new one rips, dude. You'll
Yeah,
like
it's
I
really
think
good.
so.
Yeah, but nothing really to add about it. I mean, you guys said everything I felt about it. Like, it's boring. I think it's boring. I don't think the production quality is very good. None of the songs seem memorable to me. So it was whatever. It's my D tier, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Let's just point out too, it's completely self-released. This is like Steve's record label and everything. So
this is probably the most raw independent release here. So yeah.
well, yeah, and you know what? And then that's another dig at the fucking Lawrence Arms because, like, I'm sure they had some money from Mike Park. So fuck that. So all right, let's move on.
I do want to say Belvedere is probably like the most they've never, for most of their first half of their career, it was all self-released on Steve's label.
Yeah.
And now they're on Thousand Islands, which is small, and they were also on Bird Attack, which is really small. So they never really had much backing from a label for whatever reason.
Let's go into the next debut here, which is going to be, I believe, Hot Water Music. So
yes, Fuel for the Hate Game. The oldest album on the list, I think.
The oldest album on the list, and still sounds better than at least 3 records that are on here, production-wise.
Debatable.
It's not debatable. But who's first here? Who talked about Belvedere? Was it John?
I did.
Okay, Lewis, go ahead. Talk about Hot Water Music.
Yeah, I mean, so we've talked about this, but casual Hot Water Music fans exist, and I'm one of them. And I really love like the middle records, Flight to Crash, Caution. Like, I think those are really, really strong records, and you can kind of see like that taking form with this. But man, this album's a hard listen for me as well. I mean, debatable. Yes, I mean, the sound quality is not as bad as the other ones, but I think the vocal recordings sound like shit on this. It's terrible. And the vocal just performance in general is really subpar compared to a lot of the other records. This is a super boring record. Like, I would have, like, if this was the only, like, I mean, I have it in my head now that this is the only record that John and Dylan have ever heard, and they were just like, this band is the fucking worst. So, because I would totally agree with your position on that, because this album is a snoozer. But obviously the songwriting got way better in my opinion. So I'm not going to hate on them too much, but this album stinks. So it's going to be my other D tier. It certainly was Fuel for the Hate Game because I hate this record. So
there you go.
Damn it! Use my pun.
All right, Dylan, fuel your hate with this. Where are you putting Hot Water Music? I see that S tier up there.
Yeah, I've got S and D, so I mean, take your pick there. No, shitty, boring band. Never cared for them. Gainesville's gonna sweep the D tier for me.
All right, I'll go here because I put this like pretty high in comparison to everyone else. But I've always liked Hot Water Music's debut. There is what I do is say it does sound better than at least 3 records on here, and it's the oldest one. Like I don't care what anyone says. The bass played and the music sound is so much more like clean, and it's like obviously a more competently produced record. I think the songwriting's great. You got Freightliner, which is on a Tony Hawk game as well. And I don't know. I think it's like a really solid record. I understand the boring aspect because these songs go on for a while, but I think if in a certain mood, if you get in the zone for it, I don't know why I was kind of like really vibing with it a lot more than a lot of other things that I felt was a bit more just like generic or it just sounded bad. Where I felt like this was really competently written, and I'd put it up there with the Smacking Isaiah
Wow.
in
Oh
the
my
B
God.
tier. Also, Trademark. Listen to Trademark and then listen to Man Overboard by Blink-182. Tell me that's not like the same fucking bass riff. It's kind of crazy.
I don't know, man. This is like an album to listen to when you're on heroin. Like that's what it feels like to me. But yeah.
Well, relatable. But so I like it. Like I understand the D tier. It was like considered. I think listening through it, if something was just clicking with me, I was like, this is honestly a lot of these bass lines are so fucking good. Some of the writings, the structure is like very weird, but I was kind of digging. It's like a weird '90s punk record, so I kind of like it's like weirdo music a little bit. But John, where would you put this? I'm assuming the D tier.
Yeah, Elliot said you have to be in a mood to listen to this. I've never been in that mood. Elliot said, or Lewis said you have to be on heroin. I've never been on heroin. The only thing worse than this music is the album cover, so it's going in the D tier. It's extremely boring. There's 100 bands that do this style better, and it's above against me, but just barely. I really dislike both of these records, so I'm with Dylan on the D tier, straight across.
And the moral of the story is everybody should try heroin.
Try heroin and then listen to Fuel for the Hate Game.
No, don't do the second part. Just do heroin.
Just do heroin. Yeah.
New T-shirt.
Yeah.
That's
Just
coming
do the
out
heroin.
after the Limp Bizkit is a better band than Minor Threat. We've got the Just Do Heroin shirt. All right, so we're on the last one here. Let's debut up here because we all seem to like this album pretty good.
Yeah.
Me and Lewis match it up pretty good on the S&A here. So
There we go. Much the same.
solid.
Quitters never win.
all right, go ahead, Dylan. I feel like you're like maybe John. I knew John was going to put this in the S tier. I was like trying to figure out what John was going to do, and I was listening. I'm like, this is like a competent, well-produced skate punk record that's under 30 minutes and barely any songs go over 3 minutes. John's putting that in the S tier. So, but Lewis, Dylan, go ahead and talk about much the same. Quitters never win.
This is a fantastic album by a very, very underrated band who broke up, came back, and has unfortunately broken up again. They have not... they've only released 2 full-length albums, right? And then the EP...
Three.
There was this, there was Survive, and then what's
And the newest
third?
one, the newest one.
Yeah, Thousand
an
Islands.
EP.
Or something.
No, it's your
It's not
boy.
an EP.
That's an EP.
No, it's not. Everything's Fine
It's
is an
not.
LP. Definitely.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, great band. Never got the praise that I felt like they deserved. And this is a stellar debut album. Conclusion is especially awesome. But yeah, I love Much the Same, and I don't know if it's a toss-up whether this or Survive is their best, but they're both incredible albums.
I think this is slightly better. Survive's really good though. But Lewis, go ahead. Talk about much the same here. Quitters never win.
Yeah, so this was like another band like Belvedere that I never really got into. So this was generally my first exposure. I actually never really heard them at all. So this is maybe I'm out of the loop, but this album rules. I thought it was really good. And since I listened to it, I checked out all their other stuff now. So yeah, I mean, like my only complaint about it is, the songs are much the same, like, but it's good. It's a good listen. Like I just described it to somebody after I listened to it. It's just like, it's enjoyable. Maybe that's where I got this word from this week, but it's just an enjoyable listen all throughout. Like I didn't get bored. It was perfect to have in the background to come back into to focus on. It's just a really, really good record. And yeah, I'm really kind of bummed that I never really heard it before the past few weeks. So there we go. But so A tier, awesome.
Dylan's
I gotta
favorite-
interject real quick. everything is fine. 9 songs. It's not a full-length album. I'm sorry.
It doesn't necessarily make it an EP though.
It
It's
doesn't make
30
It's
minutes.
18 seconds short of 30 minutes. So
Yeah, but so
that's
Suffer,
That's a
Suffer,
full length
Suffer,
album, dude. What the hell?
Suffer is 4 minutes short of 30 minutes. So is that not an LP? Like, I don't know.
There's more songs, so it counts.
Yeah.
It's in a gray area.
Now, I will say there is an EP on the future list, just because Strike Anywhere's newest is technically 7 songs, but we're gonna do it.
I'm gonna say EPs are 5 songs or fewer. That's my official verdict. That's what
I would say like I think like 6 or 7. It could go either way depending. So, but it's all subjective. But like Lewis said, this is Dylan's favorite genre, enjoyable punk, and John seems to think so as well. Why is much the same in the S tier, John?
So I'm gonna have a little bit of sacrilege because I think the Flatliners is a great record, but it's kind of like a time capsule where this one I feel like it holds up to this day. It's the one I'm most likely to listen to of anything else on this list. I don't think there's any skips on here. This is another band I found randomly on eMusic back in the early mid 2000s, and I've always liked this record. I think much the same as 3 fantastic albums, and this is my favorite of the 3, so it's going in the S tier.
Well, 2 albums and an EP, depending on who you ask. So
Yeah, 30 minutes is a long EP, but yeah.
I'll go right there. Obviously, I'm going in the A tier. Someone had this for record of the week as well, and I don't remember listening to this. I remember listening to Survive, but not this one. And I listened to this, and like I don't know, it's like a super tight, solid, like it's a tight evolution of like that '90s skate punk sound. I feel like this is like one of the first bands I remember kind of in making this style. Because I don't know what like Belvedere kind of did this style as well a little bit, and then like what's that one band? This is a Standoff that came later. Reminds me a lot of much the same as well. But I mean, it feels like an evolution of that kind of like Lagwagon, No Use, and Millicullen 90 sounds, but it's just like great melodies, great musicianship, great production. I feel like it's just missing like that extra spark. Like I do feel like it is an enjoyable punk record, but it's not that next level for me, so that's why it's going to be an S tier. So,
well, it's a great record for me. It doesn't like feel special. I don't know how to say it otherwise.
That's
like
how
compared
I
to
feel.
compared to my Flatliners or against me in my S tiers, but
That's
it's
how I
really
feel.
really
It's special to me.
Me too, Dylan.
What's special to Dylan?
I also have to say, if this was on Fat or Epitaph, it would have been a lot bigger than.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they'd be gassed the hell up. Hell yeah. So, but yeah, there we go. We have completed the melodic hardcore orgcore, maybe just 2000s punk. Who knows what that? Maybe anarcho folk punk a little bit there too. Some post hardcore from the 90s. Every genre.
Enjoyable punk. The enjoyable punk
The
debut.
enjoyable, the enjoyable punk debut tier list, except for Hot Water Music and Against Me.
Outside of Gainesville, Florida, it's
Outside of Gainesville, Florida. So thank you guys for watching. We'll be back with the newest record from all these bands, which is going to be pretty fun because I have not listened to, I would say, most of them. Like, I definitely have never listened to the
much
Rise
better.
Against one.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the Rise Against one's going to sound like. It's going to be quite weird. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to go to punkrockradar.limitedrun.com. There's all sorts of record John has for sale. There's hoodies, there's t-shirts, there's stickers. If you get something, John is more than likely to throw in some extra goodies with it. He's a very generous man. And don't forget to comment down below, like the video. It helps the channel. And subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit that bell for notifications. Subscribe to the Patreon. We'll make one. It'll be down there. So, we're gonna put Lewis down below, and we're gonna put Dylan's OnlyFans. So hit all of those links. And thank you guys for watching.
all right.